My dear friends, it's Gord, and it's a Friday, TGIF, and yeah, the hair's a mess. Excuse me. What's the pondering today? It's from Ya Ya Ya. Ya Ya Ya. It's from him, he or her. They asked for me to talk about what was the best decade for music and weed. And I have to say, that's an interesting thing to ponder about. I've been around 5 decades. And although I was only 9 when the 60s ended, I loved the 60s. And the 70s were pretty strong for music. I was playing in a band all the 70s. I started playing in a band when I was 11 years old, and I played till I was probably 25. Played bass guitar, sometimes keyboards. I play a lot of instruments, but not anymore. My hands hurt too much now. But um, but did I like the 70s music the best? No, no. I'd say the 60s were the best as far as my own personal opinion of music. Music meant so much. It wasn't see, music meant a lot in the 70s too. Everything had story, and there was it, oh boy, I'm now pondering myself into maybe saying there's 2 decades for the music. Reason why: the 60s rock and roll was really taking hold. It had meaning, it had soul. It Yet it wasn't the wow hard harsh of the 70s. Acid rock was born in the 70s. Punk rock kind of came out of that. uh, 70s though brought about the musical operas, the even movies like Labyrinth, where music was an integral part of the experience. Jesus Christ Superstar, one of my favorite films ever, ever, ever. Beautifully done rock operas. I just love that kind of stuff. So I have a real hard time. Was it the 60s or the 70s? The 60s influenced the 70s so beautifully, but the 70s had some tough stuff with although I enjoyed it, really heavy acid rock. Now I don't know what it's called now. So that's what I'd say for music. But I wouldn't say that that was the era of cannabis. I would say the 2010s. What we're in right now, this decade right now, is the best ever for this plant. It had some beautiful life in the early 1900s, 1910, 1920. Even the Queen of England was using cannabis for her ailments. Um, and then, of course, it got taken away from us. During the 70s, oh, we experienced it and many other things. Yes, I experienced an awful lot of stuff in the 70s. That's why my memory of it is not that great. But uh, pot back then was, almost every single bag you bought, you would then bring it home and put it on the table and separate the seeds and the stems, and then you'd have the shake. You barely ever had. In fact, I honestly, when I was 15, 16, because I hadn't grown yet, I didn't know the best part was in the bud. I didn't even know what a flower looked like, because back then you just got what you could get. Yeah, and it was mostly shake. Once in a while, when you got the good stuff, it was still not the good stuff that you're getting now. Now, when we have things like, I just saw one, I can't remember the name of it, we're talking 30 to 33% THC out of a plant. We're talking 12 and 15% CBD in certain plants. We have choices beyond the norm, and you really don't hear much at all about people getting arrested for simple possession, where possession would have put you away a long time ago in the 70s. So I have to say, what's the best decade for music and weed? It's got to be 2 different decades. Now for weed, then for music. But I'm going to have people argue. See, 80s came disco. I can't stand disco. I never liked it. It just that steady beat and really nothing behind it. I wanted music to have more. I'm in a different mindset now. There's even once in a while I can hear a disco song, and if it's not too bad, I can kind of let it go through. I mostly say there's only two kinds of music I don't like now, and it's country and western. You could take that and let it run away with the dog and the whiskey. It's not my, although I love Willie Nelson, it's just not my thing. So there was our discussion today. I just had a bowl of cat piss hash. Yeah, this is the decade for cannabis. Peace and cheers. Love and harmony.